Now that player is in game, we are going to make our Skippy or player a bit smaller. So first we need to go to game config, and this class represents configuration for our game, which you can change however you want, and you can try different values to get the values that suit your needs or that are perfect for your gameplay. So for Skippy size I'm going to choose 2, and in this video we are going to make our Skippy flap. What does that mean? It means that when player touches the screen, Bird, or in our case Skippy, needs to flap up and then again start falling down. So we need two more constants. First constant is fly acceleration and second constant is dive acceleration. So when player goes up it flies, when it goes down it dives, which is obvious. So public static final float fly acceleration, that will be 0.3. This is also in world units, or if you want in meters. Then we have public static final float dive acceleration, which will be 0.5. Also world units. Now we need to make our player actually to fly. So how are we going to do that? First, in our Skippy class, we are going to create another method, which is update method. That method will be called every frame. So public void update, and we are going to pass in delta, which is the delta time, or the time between two frames. But our player will move on y direction, so it needs y speed. Let's create variable private float y speed. By default float is 0, so by default it will be 0. Now every frame the player needs to fall down. So we are going to reduce, since our 0, 0 is in bottom left, x-axis is pointing to right and y-axis is pointing up. Moving down means going down to y-axis or going to minus y. So that is why the y speed needs to be reduced or decremented. So y speed minus equals game config dive acceleration multiplied by delta. This minus equals, don't let that to confuse you. It is the same as y speed equals y speed minus game config dive acceleration multiplied by delta. So you can write it in that way. But this is a lot shorter. And now we need to change position. So since our player is falling down, we need to change y position. So we are just going to set y, or increment the y position by y speed. In our case, y speed goes from 0 to some negative value. So that means that y position will change from the current y minus y speed. But we are going to call set y plus y speed. Since speed is negative, by default it will start as 0, and we are going to decrement, so 0 minus some value, let's say minus 0.3, will be minus 0.3. So this plus here will become minus, and our y position will decrement and player will go down. But first we need to create that set y method. So below set position, I'm going to create public void set y float y. We are going to set this y to y, but remember, whenever we change position, we need to update collision rectangle. So we are just going to call method update collision rectangle. But now we need another method for player to fly up. So let's create public method public void fly up. In that method we are going to again increment our y value. So y speed will be game config fly acceleration, or fly speed if you want to call it. And again we are going to call set y plus y speed. So we are just changing the y value and we are moving in one direction, up and down. Now that we are ready to implement all other logic, this moving up and down is implemented, but in game screen we need to call our update method and fly up method. So let's go to game screen. Inside render method, we are going to create or call another method. So this is basically drawing, and now we have to update, not in show, we need to go to render. So this viewport apply, and below is drawing, and before we draw anything we need to update positions and update our game world. So little comment update game world. Let's create update method and pass in delta. This method can be private, there is no need to call it from the outside world. So in private methods we are going to create private void update with parameter delta. Now all we need to do in this method is to call our Skippy update method, skippy.update delta, that will start moving our player or character down. But in order to move up, we need to detect some input. So there is two different ways of detecting input. We are going to use input polling. So we can call GDX input and check if it is just pressed. So first that needs to be inside if block. If GDX input just touched, so if screen is just touched, in our case on desktop with mouse or on touch screen with finger, we are going to call our character, so Skippy fly up, so it flies up as we touch the screen. Now I will just quickly once more go to this update. So first we are updating the game world, and after updating we are drawing our game world. So let's run our game and see that bird or our bee character is actually flying. If we touch the screen, you will notice how it slowly jumps up and starts falling down again. But there is one problem. It can go off the screen up and off the screen down. So we are going to fix that. First, what we need to do is to check if Y position is not below the screen or above the screen. So all we need to do is check those two positions. In update method, where we update our player, after this if statement, we are going to call method block Skippy from leaving the world. In that method, we are going to check if our character is going out of world bounds. So let's create private void block Skippy from leaving the world. There we are going to check the Y position. So we need to clamp the Y position between bottom of the screen, which is 0, and top of the screen, which is the world height, which we can do easily. So float new Y is met utils dot clamp. So this will just clamp the value that we have between those two, between the minimum and maximum. First we need Skippy get Y position. We are going to create that getter, and minimum is 0, but maximum is game config world height, that is the maximum. If that value gets clamped, all we need to do is call Skippy set Y to new Y. But now we need to go back to Skippy class and create getter for Y. It needs to be public. We can get it quickly with typing get Y and press enter. That will automatically create getter for us. And now we can run our game and see that player is not actually leaving our world. There will be another problem which we will fix later. So if player falls down, you will see that there is half of the circle. So we will be able to see half of our player, but we will fix that later. If we move up, the same happens, or the same issue is on the top of the screen. So we have the same problem on both sides, up and down. We are going to fix that problem later, but for now it is enough to have player jumping or flapping up and falling down. In the next video we are going to start adding our obstacles.